ECB has paid out over €530 billion in the latest round of low-interest loans. The last round in December is credited with having helped avoid a major financial meltdown in Europe. Today, I'm joined by Roberto Falzoni, President of Dukre Asset Management. Hi Roberto, thanks for joining us here today.
Nice to be here.
Firstly, 800 banks took up the offer of 3-year loans yesterday. It was expected initially that there'd be less of a response this time around, but actually in December there was only 500 banks. Why do you think more banks have taken up the offer this time?
Okay, I think that this program is offering cheap money to banks. And the first time, probably some banks were reluctant to participate, being afraid that this would have been seen like, let's say, to confirm that they were in need of money. So this was a little bit the question. Now, probably also the collaterals that were asked to be put by the ECB have been lowered the quality. So some smaller to medium-sized bank could participate. And I think that there was a big interest, especially coming from Mediterranean countries like Italy or Spain. So I think that almost half of it went to Italian and Spanish bank, approximately 140 billion by Italian banks alone.
Do you think this will be the last round of offers made by the ECB, or are we going to see more?
I think that, as somebody was calling, this is a Methadone for junkies. So the situation is not changed. So European financial crisis is still on. Of course, this has been very good, very positive. I think that Mario Draghi has been very proactive in these last 3 months and has eased the tension in the financial system in Europe. So this was absolutely necessary. But to say that this is going to be the last, I think it's a little bit too much. So let's see. I think that the situation must be monitored very closely. And I think that is what ECB will continue to do so in the next few months. But there are approximately 750 billion of refinancing by European banks this year. So, of course, I think that especially in southern part of Europe, difficulties will continue. And so for these banks, access of the credit markets will be still restricted. So let's see, wait and see.
During the last round of loans, many banks came out and publicly stated that they had not accepted the loans. This time, Mario Draghi has stressed that there should be no stigma of weakness attached to accepting these loans, and he's encouraging banks to do so. In reality, though, in terms of consumers, do you think there is a stigma attached to this?
Yes, I do think so. And that's why I think that especially also the big Swiss banks did not participate. Deutsche Bank, I think that for the big names, they've been taking advantage of not participating in these programs in terms of more security for their depositor and for their clients. I think definitely this is a plus. I mean, of course, it's important for the other to participate because they do need so. And we know that the European banking system needs somehow to be recapitalized, especially in the southern country, to go to the next step. But if you can avoid, this is kind of a state aid, so I don't think it's very positive for anyone. So
the last loan saw the banks using the money to buy government bonds. This eased the pressure and brought down borrowing costs, especially on short-term bonds. However, what we didn't see a lot of was banks encouraging business loans, and business loans actually dropped in December. What do you think is going to happen this time?
I think it's going to be more or less of the same. Of course, in December, interest rates were very high. So for any bank participating at that time in this kind of program was easy money to be made, to reinvest that in government bonds and then they could use as collateral. So probably this time around has been a little bit different. The net new money was 300 billion, so 230 billion out of the 530 were used to refinance already existing one. So I still think that, for Italian banks, for example, Banca Intesa took 24 billion this time, last time 12 billion, and they already said that they would use part of it just to reinvest in Italian government bonds. So this definitely, even the ECB, they know that is easing, the pressure on some governments, and especially because there are huge issues coming now to the market from Italy or from other countries. So this is an indirect way to get the government financed. Is it good or bad? We will see after. We don't know what will be the consequences of these politics. But of course, probably for the time being, was the best thing to do.
And finally, what impact are we going to see this having on the euro-dollar?
Euro, I would say, is going to be a weaker currency down the road. This is definitely not positive for the euro. I mean, this is not the only thing that is negative for the euro. I would say for the euro, what is negative is the economic situation and the political situation in Europe. And down the road, I think that this approach of a European Central Bank to add liquidity and to do certain kind of monetary easing, as we have seen in other countries like the States, the UK, Japan, is joining the bandwagon of creating more paper money. And this, of course, down the road will mean a weaker currency. Now, we know that the dollar has some kind of same problem about deficit, but I think that the pressure today is in Europe. So I expect that after this first rebound that we have seen in Europe in the last 2-3 months, from 127 to 134.80, just below 135, the euro will start a big decline. And even if in the short term there is still a possibility of going to 135, 136, I would expect the euro to go to 120 by the end of the year at least. So definitely a much weaker euro down the road, which is going to be beneficial, let's say. This is one of the way for Europe, or especially for Southern European country, to get their growth going. So to have a weaker currency is not so negative, as far as there is not really a big problem of inflation, but one problem at a time. So my advice is to be short the euro.
Well, thank you for joining us here today, Roberto. An absolute pleasure to hear your viewpoint.
Thank you, Kate. It was my pleasure to be here.
If you want to see more exclusive interviews like this one, stay tuned to Dukre TV.